were talking about emotions, helping kids understand their emotions so that they can move through them and have good emotional intelligence. And then the conversation turned into intuition and gut. And I wanted to take a moment to break down the difference between the two, because a gut feeling is not your intuition. Hey, everybody. Today we were talking on the Inner Circle call and digging into just a little bit at the end of the call in the Q&A about intuition and gut. And it came about with talking to our children about their emotions, what those emotions mean, and how to properly satisfy them. Because any emotion, when it is properly satisfied, it's quickly processed and it's no longer a problem. It's not something you have to push down, push through, wade around in, and get sucked into. If you're curious about emotions and understanding those emotions, I want you to go to pennychiasson.com/resources. And on that page is a link where you can get access to Resonance. Resonance is a masterclass that I did around emotions, what they mean, how to satisfy them, and how to know when the emotions you're experiencing are from unprocessed emotions from the past that you push down and push through and you then forgot about and mistakenly thought they were done, or if that feeling's in the present moment. I also talk about common behaviors that I see in people in their adult life that tie back to unprocessed emotions. So that's pennychiasson.com/resources, and you'll find the link to purchase that masterclass. So we were talking about emotions, helping kids understand their emotions so that they can move through them and have good emotional intelligence. And then the conversation turned into intuition and gut. And I wanted to take a moment to break down the difference between the two, because a gut feeling is not your intuition, but people use the terms interchangeably all the time. Your gut feeling, when you feel a physical feeling in your body, that is your nervous system releasing to create that physical feeling. That physical feeling is linked to an emotion. So that gut feeling can be, I'm not sure what's happening here. There's something here. I can't put my finger on it, but I feel it. I don't know what it is. Your subconscious mind retains a lot of information that we may not consciously remember. It just gets filed away. And your subconscious can see patterns and say, you know what, something about this doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. And it brings that feeling up in your body so that you become aware of it, even if you're not consciously thinking about what it is. The majority of the time, your gut feeling is right, unless your gut feeling is based on misperception. So if if you have misperceptions, I'm just going to use this as an example. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I shouldn't be in this room. Whatever the case may be, then your gut feeling may be telling you to not take a chance on something, which is something that you really wanted to do and you really would have benefited from doing. I almost said should, but we don't should all over ourselves on this podcast. So sometimes we're like, oh, I wish I had done that, but I didn't at the time. And it's because we had a gut feeling that it wasn't right, or we couldn't put our feeling on what it was. And the subconscious in that moment was keeping us from doing something based on a gut feeling that was based on a misperception that we didn't belong there. But when it comes to external situations and relationships that consciously things look good, but our gut, it's like there's something here, don't do that, and then you do it anyway, and you wish you had, you're like, what, my gut was right. That's your subconscious. Your brain is wired to survive or thrive. So concept number one, if it is rooted in emotion and physical feeling, it's going to be your gut, because your intuition comes from your higher self. It is your higher perspective, and your higher self has zero fear. It just is. Okay? Your higher self does not have fear. It is your ego that experiences fear, and it is the brain's self-protective mechanism. Your intuition can come in as just a knowing. It's called claircognizance. You just know. You just know. Clairsentience, which is a feeling, but it's not going to be the same as your gut feeling. It's like, I just have a sense. I can't put my finger on it, but it's not fear. Okay. It's not fear. That's the best that I can tell you. Now, clairsentience also means picking up on information through feeling other people's feelings, in which case those are emotions, but you just have a sense. And it's that sense that it's not fear, it's not anger, it's not uncertainty. You just have that sense about it. For me personally, my intuition, if you're watching this on YouTube and not listening to the podcast, my intuition, I perceive it as uh, thoughts, not as a voice, but as thoughts that come from behind my left ear. It's almost as if someone is talking over my shoulder, but it's not. When my ego comes into play, the overthinking, the talking self out of it, I perceive that as thoughts that are coming from my right frontal lobe. That's where that comes in. And that came through a lot of awareness and discernment of, okay, where is this coming from, that I noticed that difference. Your intuition will often not make sense. You will be driving home on a beautiful day, the roads are clear, and all of a sudden your brain is going, turn left and go home the back way. And you're like, okay, I'll turn left and go home the back way. So you turn left and go home the back way. You get home and you find out that there was a huge pile up, big accident. And if you had gone home the normal way, there was the potential that, number one, you would have gotten caught in the accident, but most importantly, you would not have made it home on time to meet the kids getting off the bus or something along those lines. And we're like, oh wow, that was synchronicity. What a coincidence. No, it was not a coincidence. Your higher self knew. It's just like the other day. I was driving into town to go to the post office. I had to drop off some training packages of student materials for the hypnosis certification training that's coming up in February. And I didn't want to drive down the busy main strip. And at first I was going to turn right. And I'm like, no, I'm going to go straight. And a voice just said, don't go straight. You do not want to go through Valley View. And I'm like, no, I'm going to go through Valley View because I don't have to deal with the busy intersection. I'll just go down here, I'll hang a right and zip right through the back street to the post office. Well, I turn onto Valley View and I get about a tenth of a mile down the street. And what are there but 6 or 8 police and DEA cars raiding 3 houses? So there was nothing crazy going on. The raid had taken place, but they're going in and out of different houses. And so I'm like having to sit there and wait because they're clogging up the street for the opportunity to go through the street. So I literally, my intuition said, no, don't go that way. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going anyway. And it was all okay. But, you know, what if there had been bullets flying or something crazy, or they had the street completely blocked off while they were conducting their searches, and I would have had to turn around, gone around, and done all the things. So that's the difference between your intuition and your gut. Intuition can be totally illogical, make no sense whatsoever, but there's zero emotion in it. The other way you will know you're dealing with intuition is your logical thinking mind will start rationalizing why it doesn't make sense to do that. And you literally start talking yourself out of it. And then later you realize, oh, that would have been the right thing to do. That would have been the right thing to do. And I didn't do it. And a lot of people assume that's their gut. And it's your intuition. All right. I hope you enjoyed this episode. The hypnosis certification training starts, the intensive portion starts in 5 weeks, but we're onboarding into the self study right now. So if you want to get into the Elite Hypno Pro professional NGH approved hypnosis certification program, now is the time. Click the link in the show notes and let's go. Also have a very special masterclass workshop series coming up at the end of this month. Those details will be out in the next day or two. So be sure you're following me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the places, because the details will be coming out any day. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time.